Yay, hey. Okay, welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. So, this like little gestation period that we have before Saturn and Neptune hit 0 degree Aries in February 20th is the date. So, consequently, the Japanese New Year, the year of the snake, stops at the February 17th and starts the year of the horse 3 days prior to this. Fascinating times. Anyway, so we're gonna have a horsey horse, and again, this is because it's Neptune. I do like to especially look at the collective energies going on, not just Western astrology, but like taking in the energetic patterns that are happening globally. And that to me was pretty significant because the horse energy, and then we've got Aries with the with the ram energy, charging forward. So we're definitely going to have a chariot that is going to want to move forward, and Saturn's going to be like, "Hey guys, wait." So here's the deal. Okay, you're going to get a lot of astrologers instilling fear in you. You're going to get a lot of fear fucking porn from astrologers right now. That's so you keep coming back. Okay, everybody uses it. It's a technique that's been proven to work. If we can instill fear, they'll come back. Okay, so again, I don't know why this keeps happening, but I'll start talking and then realize that my lips are dry. And okay, so going back to the horsey and the ram. Okay, that's what's charging us forward. And Saturn is in the chariot going, boys, girls, ladies, gents, children, guys. So Aries is the youth. Aries is 0 to 7 aged. I can't remember what Capricorn is, or Saturn. But he's pretty old, okay, because he's out there right before we hit the asteroid belt. He's the last planet that's visible from Earth. So he's at the end stages of life, okay? And the other three planets are on the other side doing their thing, okay? That's why they're collective planets, is because they're all the way out. After death, in between death, etho energy, okay? So when we have the elder in the sign, the house of the youth, whatever the heck it is, we are going to have, a lot of boom booms coming in trying to instruct the youth. Now, and not all of it's going to be bad. That's the problem. Saturn is pretty freaking wise in some cases. Not in every case, in some cases, okay? Saturn knows how to freaking climb those mountaintops with teeny tiny little hoofs and keep his wits about him while he's climbing the mountaintop that's like freaking 90 degrees up, okay? That's Saturn, okay? He knows what's on the mountain, he knows the terrain, he knows how to get there. The problem is we've been living in Neptune energy illusionment for so long that in some cases, some of those boom booms have a very, very, very deeply ingrained illusionment of what it takes and how people are supposed to get there, because they grew up in a completely different time zone. Like, it's multi-fractional multi-dimensional fractal ecosystem. That's one of those dimensions, those time frames in which procedures were done in a specific way. Like the math problems were done this way, the banking structures work this way, the whatever it is, fridges used to work this way, the TV used to work this way. Everything worked differently. Everything. The entire structure was completely different. Okay? We have the same institutions, but they have drastically changed the laws, changed the procedures, changed the bureaucracy, changed the technology, changed the methodology, changed the terminology, All of this crap has changed, okay? So you are having Saturn the Elder come into the house of Aries. Come into the youth and try to tell them the fours of the whats. Sorry, I was eating pretzels earlier. Okay, so this is what's gonna click. Everybody's gonna be like, you know, war and stuff. No, Saturn is not gonna be like, let's start a war. Saturn is not gonna do that. The boomers are not gonna come in. The vets are not coming in and going, okay, youth, let's start a war. That's not how it's gonna happen. If it comes from maybe media, you know, the Presidente could probably incite something like that, but the boomers themselves, the general population of Capricorn age type people, are not going to come in and say anything like that. They freaking know better. At least you would hope so. They know better. They've seen what war is. They've witnessed what it does to their friends, their buddies, and themselves. They've witnessed it. They know. Okay? That part we can give them. They do know that, like, war ain't it. Okay? And if they are preaching war, pinky fucking swear, they're a paid shill. Okay? So, or heavily indoctrinated into a religious political system that has just rotted some brains. And it doesn't even matter the freaking planetary alignment that instilled that, okay? Because obviously the same planetary alignments were hitting the planet, and not everybody chose that. This is why I don't appreciate astrology. This happened in the past, so there you go. This is what's going to happen in the future. Go get your pair of, undies in your puke bucket, because, we're just hoping that this happens again so we can get astrology good going. Don't do that shit. Yes, a warning is nice. Yes, let's not be dinguses about the future of the globe as we know it. But we don't have to be like, well, that's how it's going to go because that's the way it went in the past. No, this is... Remember, the rest of the planets are doing like all sorts of newsy, funsy, wavy stuff. Okay? Let's be curious. Let's take some Mercury energy into this and be curious. Let's stay in that Aries childhood curiosity mode. 0 to 7. Let's learn about what the new world is before we start clunking our head on a wall that might not need to be taken down. Because I think one of them was like the Berlin Wall comes down. Maybe we need that wall up. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the wall in Mexico. Obviously, it's not helping. If you hadn't noticed, it's not helping. But also, if you hadn't noticed, this entire country is mostly made up of immigrants. Like, the native population is pretty effing small. So... That part, I don't even care to try to comprehend. And I'm finished standing under it. So, when we have a narrative that is set in stone in some people's minds, and it's not in everybody's, but you do need to be diligent about what you're putting in your face holes. You gotta be diligent, okay? When it comes to the energetic patterns that are coming onto the planet, we need to start being curious. We need to start getting our observational skills fine-tuned. We need to start comprehending that we have a say in this. We don't have to be subject to the people that are clearly can't even wipe their own. So, stop giving your power away to people that don't have it. Okay, your power is being siphoned away through mostly your bank account and your work hours and whatever else. That's how your power is being siphoned. It's not from, your ex who probably doesn't want anything to do with you. Or he could be stalking you, or she could be, bashing you all over town. Whatever the fuck it is, okay? Just cut the cord. But the energetic pattern here is that, like, there's a leak, it's coming from inside the house. There's a, whatever's being corrupt is coming from inside. So this is where we're at right now, astrology wise, seasonal wise. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you are in the summer. So you're about to reap the harvest of whatever the heck it is you planted at the beginning of the year, and then your winter will come later. However, there is the dog days of summer, where there is a reverence for the weather being so freaking hot, where there is a refusal to work because it's so dangerous, where you just need to maintain the amount of, water that the plants have available to them. Okay, they're going through the same gestation period as far as heat goes. It's so hot, we can't really do much on the outside, so we're gonna need to sit quietly, reserve our energy, stay hydrated, and go within. People forget about that. Oh, the summer, good having fun on the beach, blah 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 blah. But there's some days, well, even when you're on a beach, who wants to be busting their tail all freaking day? Nobody. You want to sit down and relax and reflect. But those dog days of summer are leading to that reflection as well. What worked? What didn't work? What could we harvest better next year? What could we grow better next year? What are we not going to grow next year? Right? This is all plugged into our DNA. We don't get to avoid it. We don't get to negate it. It's always going to happen. It's just if we're being conscious of those patterns, and we can create from those conscious patterns rather than going, ho hum, I guess this is just what life is. I guess this is just what we're gonna do. I guess this is just our only choice, when it's not. It's not. And yes, the right choice is going to be probably difficult. That's Saturn freaking energy. Oh, you wanted to willy-nilly out in the ocean and have a good time? Yeah, well, did you want to avoid the sharks, or do you want to be bait? Not the sharks, yeah. We all know about it. But there's so many ways for you to die in Australia. So just remember that sometimes the restriction is for your own good. Not always, but there are some parameters that are keeping you safe. And right now, especially for women, we need the safety parameters. And they are slowly being stripped away from us one by one. So Saturn, the elderly, the old folk, might have some wisdom to glean from what is being taken from humanity at the moment that actually serves us, and what is being replaced is the violent people get out of any sort of trouble they might have been in, or any sort of repercussions, like having to sit and think about what they did away from society. Okay? So these elders could be giving insight. They could be giving insight on how to grow food, insight how to best use your Pentacles for the economy collapsing, how to can food, how to conserve this, that, and the other thing, how to whatever it is, okay? How to be, medicinal for your neighbors and your loved ones. How to care and maintain good relationships that support and uplift not only you and your family, but the community as a whole. How are we going to regain those connections in a meaningful and deep way, so that way any construct that tries to insert itself will be immediately ejected and just rejected, because we know it's not going to work. We've already seen the hellaciousness that these structures, these systems, these whatever put in place. We've already seen that. We know what it's like. And so last time Saturn was in Aries, and again, I'm just talking Saturn in this one. I'm not talking Neptune. That's another video. And they are conjunct, and I get that. But we're in Saturn. His story. So, the other thing too is, you know, the youth, we don't give them enough credit. They know way more than we do, straight out the gate. And we just stifle it down. So we do need to be mindful. The constructs in which we put the youth in. And yes, camps we put the youth in. We need to be excruciatingly diligent about this because we have spent a lot of time, energy, and money demonizing the youth for centuries. Not for decades, for century. Teenage wasteland, yeah, that's not a new thing. We've always had contempt for the young. Look at the freaking tarot cards, pages. Considered noxious little fuckers. Yet they come with new eyes to tell us how fucked the system is. And that we need to change it. And we just bludgeon them with a knight and tell them that, nope, this is how you need to do it because this is how we've always done it. This is how the boss wants to do it. And the page is clearly looking at how fucked the situation is and going, I think that's a really bad idea. Can't we do it? Try it this way at least? And the knight is going, I don't think so. Okay, so blah blah blah. Oh my god. Okay, give me a list. Oh lord. Okay, so okay, so BCE (407) to 410 CE. Constantine III was declared Roman Emperor in Britain in 407 and then took almost all the Roman garrisons off to Gaul and Spain to deal with the barbarians who were causing problems for the empire. Meanwhile, in Britain, the Saxon raids continued, especially with the Romans preoccupied elsewhere. And the natives were getting fed up. The Bristones rejected Roman law and reverted to their local customs and eventually booted out the remaining Roman officials by 410. Fruitless. I don't want to read anymore. This is somebody else's work on somebody else's website. Who was it? Okay, I'll give it to you. Jessica Davidson. Astrologer, mystic, writer. JessicaDavidson.com for that intel. Like I said, I just wanted an example of, like, it's not doom and gloom. It's what people want you to believe. They want you to be scared. They want you to click. They want you to stay tuned in. And that, they need Pentacles too on my bash, and anybody's trying to get a way of living. That's totally formidable. But just be mindful that you are choosing the love over the fear. Like, I see what could possibly happen, but I'm gonna love through this. I'm gonna activate my heart, right, and step into that compassionate area of where I see the youth as valuable as well as the elderly as valuable, and we don't need to tell either party to go fuck itself unless they're advocating for atrocious amounts of horrible harm. Okay. And neither side, as far as I can tell, has done that unless it's in a political party. Okay? Political or religious, even scientific realm at this point. Science just is behind the scenes creating the methodology in which we take people off the planet. Okay? So, keeping it in check. Keeping the reality in the forefront, on the front burner. These are real human beings with real thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We can relate on that human scale. We don't have to shut everything down just because blah 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 blah. Now if they're calling for, again, horrible things to happen to people because whatever reason. This is why I don't like talking to a lot of spiritual people either. I don't appreciate it because we're going to ignore the problem. If you focus on the problem, you're going to perpetuate it. No, if you neglect the problem, it is going to grow larger, and then whoever is willing them harm is going to swoop in and do so. Katunk. 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 It's like you don't get to deny that the facts of the reality just so you can have your dopamine hit and call yourself doing good for the planet by high vibing. Oh yeah, okay, like, what? This is just another religious narrative. I pray, so that makes me better than everybody else. And that makes me more higher than everybody else. And that makes me more sacred and privileged and superior to everybody else because I do the thing. But the thing. Now, energy is pretty powerful. I comprehend that. But when you pray, there has to be a predator. Okay. Now, I'm not saying those people knew that, comprehend how energy actually works, but here we are. Living it one more effing time. We gotta knock it off. We gotta stop believing that, like, human sacrifice is the only way for people to exist here. Ugh. Okay? That's not how this works. We're just telling the ethos what we want, and the ethos is like, okay, whatever you want. Okay, we pick and choose how we conduct this energy. We pick and choose how those planetary energies hit. So when the elderly are instructing the youth, and the youth are going, if you hadn't noticed, the whole fucking thing is on fire, and what you're doing isn't working, the elderly need to respond with, what did you have in mind? What do you want your future to look like? Because in 10 years, I'm fucking not going to be here. But you will have to be here for the next at least 40. So what can we do to make your future a little bit brighter? That seems to be a really tall order for boomers right now. Okay? So again, elderly doesn't have all the answers. Okay? They don't hold all the wisdom. They have lived experience of examples of what the hell has happened in their past and their history. But we have to take into account that their rules, regulations, and constructs were completely different as to what's going on with the youth today. So if we comprehend that the youth is growing up with this and not much else, because their parents are so effing traumatized, they do not have the bandwidth to raise culpable human beings. That's the way it's been since the Industrial Revolution. There has been no raising of culpable human beings. We have raised dependent, scared, traumatized, horrified human beings. That's how we got here. Ta-da! Okay. And now, we, as a species, are going, so the religion's gonna F off, but the spiritual community is like holding their chalice underneath the freaking meat grinder, catching the juices, going, we're gonna scare everybody. But then we're also going to tell them, don't look at the horrors of the situation. Don't look at the facts and the reality. Just focus on this Neptunian aspect over here where everything is fine and everybody's high vibe. And that's how we get to New Earth. And then fuck everybody else. Okay? So, and that's the elderly too. That's like the old gurus in charge. I don't know how old they are. I don't give a fuck. If it's got gray hair, you need to question it. If it's a little kid, you need to question it. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, adjust their flags and then go someplace else. This is what we're dealing with. The youth versus the elderly. Both have wisdom to bring to the table. And neither are willing to admit that about the other party. Okay? The reason why the youth are turning away from religion and spirituality is not because, they're just preoccupied with screens or they've been indoctrinated. It's because they see the energetic pattern and it's like, how many times did this need to happen for you people to get the freaking clue? This is fruitless. This is wasted energy. We're wasting energy. We're leaching it out of our bodies and our systems on the most ignorant, stupid shit that serves no purpose other than to uplift and high vibe billionaires. Okay? So we are pulling our energy out of that construct, okay? And going, okay, I need to put this someplace where it actually does like some real changing and has a productive and meaningful and graceful outcome, because nothing else is doing that. Nothing else is doing that in the environment right now. Nothing. It's terrifying to have to talk to people who are like, you just need to high vibe, because if you don't high vibe, you're never going to get what you want. If I want everybody to be okay on the planet, high vibing isn't going to do anything. Okay? We need a whole vibe. We need to bring the pain and the joy with us. We need to be conscious of the fact that, yes, there is joy to be had in every single freaking moment. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yes, it's always there, available to us at every moment of every day. There's also the pain and the tragedy, okay? There's also, we want to move forward, but how many people have to be left behind? How many people do we need to just negate and, sacrifice in order to get there? Myself, like the youth, would like that answer to be 0. Okay? But we've got an influx of disabled autistic children that, everybody wants to put in concentration camps. So, I don't want to manifest that. I don't want to high vibe into that. I think that's a dumb idea. So what are we doing? That's what I'm saying, is you got to keep those people in check. You can't just give your power, your energy, your mind, your soul, your spirit over to some guru who pretends like they know how energy works. And if they do know how energy works and they're telling you that you can't look, they put on the blinders, don't look at anything bad, ugly, negative, blah, 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 blah. Ignore the co-creation of your manifestation. That's what they're telling you. Fucking you. Okay? Just fucking you. Yes, focus on what you want, but absolutely do not ignore the fact that, when you do stupid shit like pray or high vibe, you are creating a polar opposite in the world. You're creating that. That is co-creation. You don't get to just tiptoe off that web. It is always going to be there. You are always on it. There's no, I'm exempt from, creating people like Diddy's in the world. No, we're not. We're not exempt from that. That's a co-creation. That is a manifestation of some crap that we shoved in our subconscious and we're told not to look at it by some asshole authority figure. So that's how that bubbles up. We do not escape the consequences for what we globally manifest. We don't. Period. The end. So you look at it, you sit with it and say, I am finished co-creating this on the planet because I have recognized that it already exists in myself. I found the subconscious undercurrent and I said, look, we're going to create something else. We're going to create something different because what we've created for the last however many thousands of years is fucking us off the planet. Okay? Okay. So, when it comes down to buying into or believing that things are just automatically fucked and that you are powerless here, self-correct. Just get back into alignment and claim the sovereignty that's already yours. Okay? And it is personal responsibility. It is finding out where in you, and it doesn't mean that you grew up religious. You could have just had to be in this religious realm and these natural beliefs just rubbed off on the whole freaking community, and now you're subconsciously carrying them because you were, I mean, if you were an atheist growing up in America, you were inundated with Christian values all over in your energy. And yes, you can say I revoke them or I rebuke them, whatever the hell it is, but it's still in the energy code. And so if still need to, this whole dismissing, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Nope. Everybody needs to stuff, figure it out, find it, break it, burn it, and say we're creating something else here. This pattern is now cut. Okay, that's how you do that. You don't say I didn't do it. No, I'm perfect. Nope. Subconsciously, this was co-manifested. Find it, break it, burn it. Okay. So that way, when February 20th doesn't come along, we're not lugging that with us in our Saturn backpack. Okay? And hopefully we can avoid some horrible, horrible stuff like going to war. It's all like a human sacrifice thing. It's construct in the back of our minds that says, if I want anything, sacrifices have to be made. That whole narrative. That's why the high vibe community is juicing everybody's freaking subconscious with that narrative. Got a high vibe, so those little fuckers stay away, blah, blah, blah. I am soft and sweet and just like a little angel, blah, 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 blah. Light workers, if they claim they're a light worker, proceed with extreme caution. Extreme caution. Many have not been taught how energy actually operates and will con you into high vibing into oblivion. And then you're going to have to face the... Okay? So keep your flame, my love. Mwah.